you know, with 2 red dots, you get like twice the dottage, which totally increases accuracy. Like, you ever hear of aimbot? Kind of like that. Okay, let's go and take this red dot off of here. So I brought this second red dot out here because, don't ask me how I know this, but you don't want to lean this too far forward without having a hand on the gun. Let's just say that this red dot right there, it's not the first red dot that's been on here. But luckily, when it fell off this tripod right here, the gun stayed intact. I was really impressed. Thankfully, I did not have that suppressor on there. But speaking of the suppressor, those were some supersonic rounds in the drum. Let's go ahead and see what some subsonic rounds sound like. These are actually the CCI Quiets semi-autos. They're going like 835 feet per second. And I fired them out of this gun before, so should be successful with this GAT trigger, or the GAT crank. One cool thing about the GAT crank, I've got, let's go over here. I've got a battery assist device right here, and that battery assist device is not in the way of the crank, so it's still operational. And since these are subsonic rounds, I'm not gonna keep my ear pro on and keep them off. So let's go. Oh no. Maybe it won't cycle. That is so cool. Yeah, that was all of them. I guess maybe it's just a bad round in the beginning. Oh man, this thing is so much fun. But yeah, always make sure that you tighten this part down right here before you take your hands off the gun, or else it's going to fall over. A testament to the reliability of this M&P15 22 right here. It's like 40 degrees out here, and this thing's running like a champ. It's a few, just a couple hiccups, but really that's ammo related, I'd say. I think this thing can, chew up and spit out just about anything you feed it. This GAT crank, I'm going to do a closer, like a tabletop look at it, so if you want a closer look at it or some more details, I'll go over that a little bit later. But this little contraption I put together, it's not very sturdy. It's basically just a camera tripod, and I took, let me go ahead and take everything off just so you can see it real quick. This right here, it's just a simple camera attachment thing, and I took the 1/4 inch little bolt out of there and put in a really thick screw, and that's the only thing that's holding this dowel rod in. The dowel rod I have painted black. So, and then right here I've got I believe this was a bipod mount that I just took some drywall screws. I hope this focuses. But I took some drywall screws and just screwed it right there on top. There is a lot of Gorilla Glue holding this screw right here into the dowel rod. I got a couple washers in there too, just to kind of beef up the rigidity of it. Rigidity, but it just fits right in here. Forgive me, my nose is running. It's so cold out here. And so what's cool about having it on the tripod is that, I was trying to think of like a contraption I could use that would allow me to go up, down, left, right, and in all directions. But so you can just snap it right in there like that. So once this tripod's always going left to right. You can tighten this down so it doesn't move, but it's not necessary. What is necessary though is this little handle right here. So as you can see, I got all angles. I can point this thing anywhere I want to. And if I want to leave it, I just tighten that down and the gun stays. This really does the trick, just with a 22, it's pretty much all you need. So this is like a real zombie defense setup right here, something you would have, on top of like a maybe a wall, you know, that you're using to defend the perimeter of whatever homestead you got while there's a zombie apocalypse coming, and then you got all these hordes of zombies coming at you, and you're just able to go. Well, maybe not like that, but you know what I'm saying. But the M&P15 made by Smith & Wesson, she's a workhorse. And I cleaned her up nice and good before coming out here, so she's all pretty on the inside and outside. But it's being pretty on the inside that matters, right? But anyways, this is the Gen 1 M&P15 back when quad rails were still cool. But, you know, it's working pretty good today because I'm able to attach the this bipod mount, or tripod mount there. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to some steel and shoot a bunch of steel targets, and then we got some produce afterwards if my fingers don't freeze off. So I want to see what some subsonics sound like on steel real quick at a very rapid rate of fire. So these are some CCI Quite 22 semi-autos that are going 835 feet per second. So it's a 45 grain bullet as well, so it's got a little bit of a heavier punch, which should hopefully sound pretty cool up against steel. Let's give it a try here. What I've noticed is that it's kind of easier to keep the stock collapsed, and then honestly, you know, I've got this red dot here on top, but I don't even think I'm going to use it. I've also got a laser right here, but I don't know, maybe we can do the laser. See how that goes. Let's see if we can get on target here, and just want to try and get some shots on steel. Let's see what this sounds like. Yeah, I can see the laser. Ooh, that's actually dead on. Well, we already got a jam here. And it locked back on the last round. Seems like with those CCI Quiet semi-autos that the first round or two seem to have an issue. I don't know if that has something to do with the pressure that it has from a full magazine or what's going on, but after you get that you know, first couple of rounds out of there, this thing runs like a champ. Oh man, and it just, you know, you can only have a smile on your face when you're doing that. So let's move on to some supersonic rounds here. Tighten this down so it doesn't fall over on me. And that's why I've got loaded up in this drum here. So, and try and hit these small targets. Can't hit that little target. Whoa! Catastrophic failure. Oh no. Oh no. Put it on safe. Oh my gosh. And I'm going to point this over here. Oh my gosh. What just happened? There it is. This is hot. Oh. We had a baffle strike. Major league baffle strike. I think this is all of it. Well. This wouldn't be so painful if it wasn't so hard to get suppressors, but round out. what probably happened. I bet this just started to unscrew itself. I mean, I've got some of these actually still look decent. Wow. Oh, that is grody. But yeah, there's some baffle strikes in here. I still think that some of these, you know, this is a modular suppressor, so each one of these comes apart. And I think some of them are still going to be salvageable. So, hey, I was planning on getting a new 22 suppressor anyways. Man, oh man. Well, I guess we're going to be doing the rest of this video without the suppressor. This actually looks good. I don't see any baffle strikes in here. I think some of this actually might be salvageable. That's amazing. But you know what? I'm losing daylight. I don't want to focus on this too much. So let's get back to some shooting. Alright. I'm going to put a ridiculous muzzle device on here real quick. This thing is just for aesthetics. It doesn't do anything. Alright. Can't believe that just happened. But I think we're back in business. Let's go ahead and finish off this drum right here. Looks like we've got, oh, I don't know, 10, 15 rounds left. You know what? Things happen, and then you move on. Alright. Let's keep it going. We got the laser. Cool. Back in business. The drum does not stay back on the last round. Okay. Let me load up some more ammo. We'll shoot some more steel. Alright, loaded back up with some, I've been using for the supersonic stuff, Remington Thunderbolt. So it's got, you know, a good amount of velocity to be able to operate the action quite reliably. This stuff is really cheap and usually unreliable. So again, another one for the M&P15 22 right here. This gun is amazing. So, got another 50 rounds loaded up. I'm just going to try and see if I can hit these smaller targets again. Oh yeah. No suppressor anymore. Spit out every single one that I fed in there. Gosh darn, that's so cool. And I hit the little target a couple times. Okay. Every time I finish off a mag, it's like I just gotta take a step back and marvel in the amazingness of this GAT crank right there. I keep wanting to call it a GAT trigger. It's the GAT crank. Specifically the BMF Activator. And BMF stands for bullets move faster. I guess that's one way of putting it. But they just have here rapid fire device. So it sure does fire it rapidly. So I got another mag loaded up right here. And this time I want to try and just do a speed run. I'm pretty sure it's 4 shots per revolution. So I'm just going to crank it as fast as I can and see what happens. Alright, yeah, we are loaded up. Here goes nothing. I'm not, I think I'm not going to go for steel. I'm just going to go off to the side here. Ah! Oh, it wasn't even done. Shit. Well, we're going to have to do that again. So give me 1 sec. Okay, we're loaded back up. You know, with this Remington Thunderbolt here, it's not the most reliable stuff in the world. You're bound to get 1 or 2 stoppages out of 100 rounds. We're going through so many rounds here that it may seem like it's not cycling very well, but I'm very impressed with it so far. All right. So hopefully all 25 rounds are going to fire here. And I'm just going to go as quick as possible. Yeah. Shucks. And I had a little hiccup too. Yeah, whatever. Let's just stay back on the last round. You are dumping that magazine way faster than you can load it. So anyways, we are losing daylight, and it is getting cold. And I lost my glove because I just forgot it. I was loading magazines back there. So let me put my glove back on. And I'm not going to do produce, but I brought out some Bud Light because, you know, Bud Light next. I don't think anybody's going to miss these. Let me go set them up. These are the tall slim cans. Maybe it'll make people think that they're going to be slim, just like the can. You know, just for the heck of it, kind of want to try it. Oh my gosh. Already it's a failure. Trying to poke this. There we go. All right. Yeah, no. Next. Okay. Drum mag, please. Ear protection, please. Make sure, yeah, that muzzle device is still good. Alrighty. See if I can hit these. Bud Light Nexts. What a fail. Alright, I'm just going to try to hit him on the ground. I was able to get a couple though. Let's see if I can finish them off. Yeah. Oop. Nope, that was it. Okay. I am losing daylight here. But let's go ahead and wrap up right now. And next time you see me, I'll be inside nice and cozy. And we'll do a close-up look at this BMF Activator. The BMF Activator. It's a rapid fire device that you put on your trigger guard of a 22 in this case. They do make one for an AR-15, chambered in 223 or something higher than that. And throughout the first part of the video, I kept referring to this as the GAT crank. And the GAT crank is actually something different. So this right here is the BMF Activator. Not to be confused with the GAT crank, but basically operates the same kind of way. But before we go into further detail on the BMF Activator, let's go and take a look at this rifle real fast. And starting at the top, or the tip I should say, is what's left of that Odin Works Nav22 suppressor. I still have 2 baffles that are good, and the muzzle is good as well, the end cap, as well as the steel baffle and the adapter right here. So I did reach out to Odin Works, and they've been incredibly helpful so far. Right after this video, I'm going to send this off free of charge, and they're going to take a look at it, replace the baffles, rework the, oh, what's that word? Concentricity? That's probably wrong.
What is concentricity?
But basically get everything, you know, properly aligned, and then send it back to me. So far, free of charge. I'm going to do a separate video on the suppressor, so there'll be an update on what happened with it in that video, so stay tuned. So later on in the video, I'm going to talk a little more about the suppressor. But moving down the rifle, we've got you know, some pretty cheap accessories. Like this is a cheap Chinese flashlight, which works really well. It's got a momentary pressure switch button, as well as a constant right there. Right here is a cheap laser, a cheap grip, a cheap knockoff RMS, which this thing works really well. I really like it. Right here you can see is a little light sensor. So whenever you put the cap on, it turns it off. And then when you take the cap on, it automatically turns it on. There are actually no buttons at all on the site. So that's a pretty cool little feature there. But it's I'm probably going to take this off though and replace it with something like this CV Life, which is just a little bit of a brighter dot. Works better for outdoors. This one works really good for indoors, but it's just a little too dim, and there's no way to, you know, no buttons, so no way to turn up the brightness. And then moving down the rail here, I've got a MFT rear sight. MFT stands for mothers and fathers together. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what MFT stands for, but you know, it's a weird sight. I don't really like it that much, but it works okay. But after that, a Prisma, I think is how you pronounce it, really cheap charging handle. And for the M&P15 22, there's not a lot of options. There's either like one or two $60, $70 charging handles, or you can go with this one, which is about 25 bucks. And then I've got a battery assist device right here, which was, I believe, from ndzperformance.com. It's, you know, just sends the bull forward like that. So one thing that I used to have on this is one of those, just call it a B stock. I don't know if I'm going to get flagged for saying the full thing. So with the whole B stock setup, you had to have a very light trigger, as well as a recoil inducing muzzle device. And I've since taken off that muzzle device, as well as the B stock, obviously. And I kept this trigger, which is like a really crisp 3.5 to 4 pound trigger. And I'm not sure if maybe that kind of helps with the crank, but it was really easy for this crank to actuate the trigger. So let's go and take a look at the BMF Activator. It's fun just to kind of play with it like this. There's a little plastic piece. I think kind of the first thing you're going to have to figure out is which size of those plastic pieces to use. So this is the little box that comes in. And I want to point out something real quick. I've had this for a very long time, and I'm just finally now getting around to making a video, but let's see if I can get this to focus. There we go. So it says 1981 to 2015. So I'm pretty sure that I got this way back in 2015, about 7 years ago. And I've played with it a lot. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's a cool little device. It comes with some extra screws, obviously the Allen wrench to tighten things down. But right here, you've got to figure out what size, I guess depending on what size trigger guard you have, you got to figure out which one of these little plastic pieces to use. The big, medium, and small. And with this M&P15 22, I went with the small one. So once you figure that out, you go ahead and stick the plastic piece in this little slot here. And as you can see, with each rotation or I guess I should say revolution of the crank, you're going to get 4 activations of the trigger. So each time you go around, this little piece pops out 4 times. I'm not going to show you exactly how to put it on. I know that YouTube doesn't really like those kinds of things. So with some movie magic here, let's see if I can just make this appear on the trigger. Huzzah! There it is. So you basically just tighten down these nylon bolts, which are non-marring, and up against the trigger guard, and then with, you know, each rotation you get 4 shots. So there's 1 shot, and then it cycles the bolt, and then like I was showing you guys in shooting footage, you can still use the battery assist device. So then you get another shot, so on and so on and so on. So this is really quite a simple little device, and it's a lot of fun. It's so cheap too. It just, you know, it's made out of plastic. There's really not a lot to it, and it's like about $30, and for that kind of price, I wouldn't mind trying it on an AR-15 and seeing what that does. If I did try it with an AR-15, I would redo this mount. I mean, I'd probably keep this bipod right up here like that, but you can see it's just held in there with some drywall screws and a couple of washers, really small washers. So it'd be nice to maybe replace this dowel rod with like a big hunk of steel, and then get like a proper bolt and really crank that thing down into a piece of metal. And obviously maybe redo this mount with another piece of metal too. So basically I could easily make a better mount than this. This was just a bunch of stuff that I had lying around the house. As a matter of fact, I didn't spend any money whatsoever on this mount. I mean, don't get me wrong, this may look a little crude, but it worked really well for this 22 right here. And if this does break on an AR-15, or maybe on a recoil, like this just keeps walking forward to where it's not reliable, or whatever happens, there is that gat crank out there. And the gat crank actually looks really fun. Jerry Mitchellek has a really cool video on that gat crank from like 7 years ago, so go check that out if you really want to see what it's all about. But yeah, right now this BMF Activator, it's really fun for something like a 22. If you look on, I think like most listings, it's going to say for a 1022, Ruger 1022, but it clearly works just fine on an M&P15 22. You just have to make sure that you have a trigger guard that's big enough to fit the activator. So one thing you got to be ready for, by the way, when you're using something like this, and it's kind of obvious, but this is going to get very dirty. And let's see if we can kind of get a view in there. But you can see just how nasty that is in there, especially like around the magazine, which I'll show you guys here. But yeah, clearly the bolt is also extremely dirty. You know, check that out. Pretty nasty. And it sounds so gritty going in there. But the magazine, you can just see how filthy the top of this thing got. I mean, it's totally covered in, you know, lead and carbon and stuff. So anyways, just be ready to have a very dirty gun whenever you use the BMF Activator or any kind of a rapid fire device, because, or just if you're shooting lots of ammo in general. And speaking of the ammo, let's go ahead and just talk about this Quiet 22 that I was shooting, you know, just with this magazine right here. It's very strange how out of 2 magazines in a row with this stuff, that it was the second round that had the malfunction. But other than that, at only 835 feet per second, right there. This 22 operates really reliably with a suppressor on it, and in this M&P15 22. But the stuff that I was using that blew up the suppressor, quite literally, is this Remington Thunderbolt. And let's just go ahead and share this moment together real quick here. One of the best sights that you can witness is the opening of a brand new brick of 22s. Look at how sparkly and shiny that all is. Oh, all that is right there is just fun. Fun, fun, fun. Potential fun. Fun waiting to happen. Okay, so anyways, the bulk of the shooting was with this Remington Thunderbolt. And mostly out of this drum, which had, I think, 0 malfunctions. I got to go back and check. But for the most part, this drum was really, really reliable. Funny enough, it was more reliable than the OEM mag that came with it. This, by the way, is the Black Dog, I believe. Yeah, Black Dog Machine LLC 50 round drum mag. I really like it a lot. It's awesome. But while I was shooting the drum with the Remington Thunderbolt, it blew up my suppressor. So let me go ahead and get all the pieces here. And I'm about to send all of these pieces back to Odin Works. You know, some of these completely snapped off, as you can see, like this baffle right here and this one both lost the threaded part, which was then lodged in the preceding baffle. And so I had to break these 2 baffles in half and then kind of work them out after I broke it in half. As you can kind of see that. Oh, there it goes. So anyways, I'm going to be sending all these pieces back to Odin Works, and they're going to make things right, as they say in their words. So anyways, this one's kind of gnarly right here. This baffle really got hit. It peeled up a little piece of metal right there. Interesting. All right, let's go and put this away. And right after this video is done, I'm dropping this all in the mail. And it's going straight back to Odin Works. I gotta say, Odin Works has been amazing through the emails that we've sent, and they already sent me a UPS label to ship everything back in. So no charge at all to me. But let's just go ahead and talk about the suppressor real quick, because it kind of baffles me. No pun intended. It really does. Because I said in the shooting footage that it probably unscrewed itself, but I had to pry those threaded parts out of the preceding baffle in order to get it all apart. Basically, the suppressor broke into 3 pieces, and this piece right here, the adapter and the steel baffle, stayed on the rifle and was threaded down really tight. And then the other 2 pieces that shot off of the gun, all those 2 pieces had multiple baffles that were all threaded down very tightly, so I don't think it actually worked itself loose. And what's really weird is that you can see in the shooting footage that the last 2 shots, the suppressor started like flopping around. And what's even more odd is that it didn't seem to throw off the bullet too much, because you could hear it hit steel. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it may have been ammo related. There may have been a couple of just really crazy wild shots that immediately took a different trajectory, that, straight out of the muscle than what it was supposed to go. And maybe the suppressor was building up a lot of pressure on the inside. I mean, I'm not sure what exactly happened, but either way, I wouldn't really recommend using a suppressor with the BMF Activator, just in case something like that happens again. I don't really want to go through the trouble, even though Odin Works seems like they're going to make everything okay. So anyways, there you go. The BMF Activator. Forgot to say it comes with a little instruction booklet on how to do things, but it's pretty straightforward. You just slap it onto your trigger guard and tighten down the screws right there, and that's about all you need to do. Oh yeah, other than, of course, figure out what little tiny plastic piece to stick in the crank, depending on the size of the trigger guard. The one thing I will say though is I tried this on some of my other 22s that have smaller trigger guards, and this wouldn't fit. So you're kind of stuck with something that already has a larger trigger guard. something like the Ruger 1022, obviously, and this M&P15 22. But all in all, it's a lot of fun. Can't recommend it enough. Go out and get yourself one of these BMF activators and a whole bunch of 22 and a reliable 22, I'll say. And you'll be having tons of fun all day long. So can't recommend it enough. And thanks for watching.